Hello folks, welcome to the first video about building an actual web page, and what we're going to learn to do in this video is create some basic text elements and a horizontal rule in order to separate the parts of the page out. So in order to do that, we are going to go into repl.it. I'm just going to close this down now, and obviously this is my demo. I've already made the code here, but you are going to make a new page. You're going to click here, and what you're going to type in is lesson1.html. Pretty straightforward. And straight away that will open for you, and I'm just going to pull this little thing up here as well. You might have a sort of setup like that. So what we're going to do then is we're going to open this up in a new tab. So we hover over to this little button here and open in a new tab. And oh no, it says not found. Well, that's fine. If we then type in lesson1.html after in this URL here, so we / lesson1.html, it should go straight to it. We've got a blank page, which is fine. That's what we should have at the moment. I'm now going to go back to the editor and I'm going to introduce some basic code. So all web pages need to have the tag HTML. I'm going to click in here and I'm going to put a triangle bracket, so that's shift in the triangle bracket, HTML. You can find that on your keyboard above the comma. And then I'm going to press enter. And we need to do a closing tag. And I'll just explain what tags are briefly to you. So this is what a tag does. It's a label put around specific parts of a web page. They help the web browser work out how the part of the page should look and behave. We're now going to put another tag into the page, and it goes right at the top between the HTML and the / HTML. We're going to call it head. And this is a really important tag that we're not going to use at the moment. And it's all to do with linking in external documents, this script.js and this style.css. It links those in so they can control parts of the page from an external file. But we're not going to use that at the moment, so we just leave that there for now. They're also responsible for holding something called metadata, which is keywords for the web browser. So you can put metadata in that as well. But again, we're not going to use that at the moment. We're just going to focus on something else. We're going to create the body tag. I'll put a bit of space in there, and then I'm going to go right to the bottom here and just delete this back. And the body tag, I'm going to stop that being indented. There we go. So the body tag, what's that then? So all visible content on a web page must be placed between the two body tags. It must fit between the two. So we have the opening body tag and the closing body tag. You notice it's a close because it's got a /, and they represent the start of a particular part of the page and the end of it. So they identify that to the browser. And I always remember the close tag's really important. It's like a door being closed. So anything that goes between these two now is going to be on the actual web page. And by that I mean what's visible to the person using the web browser to look at your web page. Okay, so that's been done so far. Now we're going to actually add some content. So the first thing I'm going to introduce is the heading. So we use the triangle brackets and we type H1, and we need a close tag for this as well. And I'm going to make a website about narwhals. So I'm going to call it all about narwhals. Okay, and at this point, let's go and have a little look at that. So this should automatically be updating and saving. It's a bit like Google Docs, I guess. And if I go here now and I refresh my preview of the page, it should say all about narwhals. So what I'm seeing in this tab of my browser is actually the finished product from all this code. So we've got a heading, and I'm going to make a subheading as well. I'm going to use H3, so I'm going to call them the unicorns of the ocean. Right, now why, if you look at this now, I'm going to go back to the preview again and I'm going to refresh it. It makes it a little bit smaller. So I've got a / there. That was a mistake, wasn't it? Let's go back and refresh. It should be bigger now. There we go. So that H1 is bigger than H3. If we look, H1 is bigger than H3. And in fact, there are 6 levels of heading you can put on a web page. They're almost like titles, I guess. So you've got a main heading and you've got a subheading. Now, I think H2 is still a little bit too big to differentiate from the main heading. But H6, which is the smallest size you can get, and obviously you've got 4 and 5 in between there as well. H6, if we go there, it's very, very small. In fact, it's smaller than most of the text on the page. So it's like almost like a tiny micro heading. We certainly don't want that. So I'm going to change that to H3. Okay. Now, I did tell you that all tags have an open and close, except for there are 3 within the HTML code base. And one of those is what I'm going to introduce now. It's called the horizontal rule. So we do HR inside some triangle brackets. And the HR is a part of the web page that creates a line underneath things, a rule. We underline things with a ruler, and in fact the word ruler means something that creates rules, and a rule is just an old word we use for lines. Some people around the world still use that in their general everyday English. We've stopped doing that, but you rule things, you put a line through it or underneath it. So horizontal rule, that creates a line. And then what we want to do is we want to do the paragraph tag, and that's a P. So we're going to put a paragraph underneath. I'm going to put a / and a P, a few lines apart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Wikipedia and I'm going to get some information about narwhals. So I've got a page loaded in this tab, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to press Control and C to copy it. I'm going to go back to my web page and I'm going to press Control and V to paste it. Right, so that's some information I've just stolen from another page, but we are doing web design, not creating new content just yet. I'm going to go to my preview and I've got this text here. Finally, underneath that paragraph, I'd like to put another horizontal rule. So I'm going to press Enter here and I'm going to put HR here. So far we've learned about these tags. We've learned that we can have headings. We've learned that we can have paragraphs, and we've learned that we can have horizontal rules. We know that some tags have an open tag and a closed tag, but the stuff inside, the stuff within that tag, obviously behaves differently then because it's been marked up by these 2 tags, which actually is something to do with the name of HTML. HTML itself stands for Hypertext Markup Language because elements of a HTML page are marked up with tags. And the word element or elements is just a technical term we use to describe the different parts of a web page. Now let's look at this all together. So I'm just going to refresh, and I've got heading 1, heading 3, a horizontal rule, a paragraph, and a horizontal rule. And that's the end of this particular video.